The interlude. SCP-2256. Very tall things. Item number, SCP-2256. Object class, Euclid. Special containment procedures. Information about SCP-2256 is subject to a gradual antimemetic corrosion effect. Corrosion occurs at differing rates depending on the level of detail and accuracy in the information and the physical complexity of the storage medium. In-depth academic papers, photographs, and information stored electronically decay rapidly. Broad descriptions, pencil sketches, and paperwork decay slowly. Therefore, this electronic database entry should describe SCP-2256 only in broad terms. Detailed information about 2256's appearance, theorized evolutionary ancestry, biology, diet, behavior, vocalizations, life cycle, intelligence, ecological role, and cultural significance should be stored in hard copy at Site 19, Vault 1053. The rate of corrosion in both data sources should be monitored carefully, although at present no technique is known for halting or undoing such corrosion. Although these antimemetic effects linger at rate Euclid classification, 2256 itself is extinct and requires no special containment procedures. Description: SCP-2256, Cryptomorphia gigantes, is a species of gigafauna which was endemic to the South Pacific Ocean around the islands of Polynesia. 2256 was one of the very few recorded species known to have developed rudimentary perceptual or antimemetic camouflage, rendering them nearly impossible for other sentient beings to perceive or remember. This adaptation is theorized to have arisen in order to elude predators. 2256 was the largest species to have lived on Earth. Resembling spindly, vertically elongated giraffes or brachiosauruses, adults of the species grew to over 1,000 meters in height. They weighed no more than 4 tons, with most of their mass being camouflaged by a similar adaptation. With their broad dish-shaped feet, they were able to walk directly on the surface of the ocean without sinking. SCP-2256 navigated the ocean alone, or in redacted, of 2 to as many as 2,000 individuals. They were reluctant to approach land, especially inhabited islands, usually staying more than 30 kilometers offshore. Because of their height, they were visible on the horizon at this distance. Acquisition. And apologies in advance, I'm going to try with these pronunciations. I'm probably going to make a mistake. Polynesian natives of the island of Matiki used a substance called teococa for recreational and other religious purposes. As well as being a modern psychedelic, this drug had nemestic properties, suppressing antimemetic effects and making entities camouflaged in this way easier to see and remember. Thus, Mycetians, apologies again, were for hundreds of years the only people able to see SCP-2256. In Mycetian mythology, 2256 were wandering spirits whom the gods had charged with maintaining the horizon to ensure that the sky and the water never mixed. They were characterized as well-meaning and friendly, but unintelligent and awful deficient in their duties, resulting in storms and typhoons. They were called Polo Onogaku, the ones who walk very slowly. In 1991, an internal biochemistry study revealed that Teococa bore a strong chemical resemblance to the Foundation's own Class W nemestic. A Foundation anthropologist was assigned to follow redacted the Machican legend and became the first outsider to observe redacted 2256. An observation redacted was quickly redacted on the island to study the creatures. Routine containment analysis found that 2256 was designation safe and required no special containment procedures or even particular redacted secrecy. History. SCP redacted immediately proved to be impossible to capture photographically. Photographic negatives of the species faded into transparency over the redacted a few minutes. Similar decay redacted affected videotape, audio tape, celluloid film, digital and electronic scans redacted. The observation team soon returned most of their equipment to inventory and proceeded using pencils and redacted. At the time, it redacted what believed that such recordings would be effective permanently. I've just made an observation about this.
Which is?
That I need to line up all of the redacted words and see what they might be saying, because some of them, we should know what they are.
Like the SCP.
Yeah. SCP-2256's population declined slightly in 1992 and in 93, then dropped sharply from 94 onwards. A combination of contributing factors were observed: illness, infertility, and a redacted rate of stillbirths. In 2002, a field generator was developed which could penetrate and neutralize 2256's antimemetic redacted, allowing for conventional photography. The first and only close-up photograph of one of the creatures instantly killed it. It was concluded that direct observation of 2256 is injurious to redacted. This adaptation is believed to have arisen as a means of detecting predators, just as 2256's antimemetic camouflage protected them from those same predators. Use of redacted generator was immediately curtailed. It was subsequently hypothesized that the Foundation's ongoing passive observation of the species was intense enough to have harmful effects on 2256, and that redacted was what was driving the species' redacted extinction. Opinions differed sharply redacted veracity of this hypothesis, over redacted thoroughly it should be tested, and over what redacted be done to it if it proved to be true. Several extreme options were redacted, including redacted, exterminating redacted to preserve the data, and completely expunging the data to preserve redacted 2256. No firm conclusions, redacted. In 2003, observations of 2256 was scaled back significantly, and the Foundation redacted focus from gathering redacted data to analyzing redacted data. However, 2256's population continued to redacted. The last individual died near Tokeleu, redacted October 30th, 2006. Redacted 2010 redacted discovered redacted the antimemetic camouflage redacted, also characterized as decay or corrosion, was spreading through paper records of redacted. As a redacted, more redacted, 60% of redacted documents are redacted, even with redacted strong memestic dose. The effect is even redacted SCP entry itself, despite redacted shielding and redundancy in redacted system. Since redacted extinct, redacted new data redacted, it can be generated. It is redacted that full contamination, redacted, 3 to 8 years.
Yeah, you can see what a lot of those words should be.
Yep. And now, just to break for a second, I need to sit down with a piece of paper and be like, is this a message or is this giving illustration to the effect of what's happening?
Yeah.
Or is it both, which would be even cooler? Okay.
Part 2. 55555. SCP-3125. The Escapee. Item SCP-3125. Object Class Peter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3125 is kept inside Cognito Hazard Containment Unit 3125 on the first floor of Site 41. The containment unit is a 10 meter by 15 meter by 3 meter cuboidal room clad in layers of lead, soundproofing, and telepathic shielding. Access is through an airlock system at one end of the containment unit. This airlock is programmed to allow only one person to enter the containment unit at a time and to remain locked until this person exits before allowing another to enter. Under no circumstances may any coherent information be allowed to leave the unit. This includes written and electronic notes, photographs, audio and video recordings, sound, electromagnetic and particle-based signals, and psi emanations. During the exit cycle, a purge system rigged to the airlock flushes the occupant's memory by flooding the airlock with nestic gas for 3 minutes. A senior Antimemetics Division staff member must visit SCP-3125 every 6 weeks or 42 days. End of file. You want to take this one?
Item number, SCP-3125. Object class, Keter. Special containment procedures. SCP-3125 is subject to inverted containment protocols and is present everywhere in reality, except for those places which have been specifically purged of its influence. The interior of Cognitohazard Containment Unit 3125 on Site 41, where this document resides, is the only location in the world known to have been sufficiently purged in this way. This containment unit is a 10 meter by 15 meter by 3 meter cuboidal room clad in layers of lead, soundproofing material, and telepathic shielding. Access is through an airlock system at one end of the containment unit. This airlock is programmed to allow only one person to enter the containment unit at a time and to remain locked until this person exits before allowing another person to enter. Under no circumstances may any coherent information be allowed to leave this containment unit. This includes written and electronic notes, photographs, audio and video recordings, sound, electromagnetic and particle-based signals, and psi emanations. A purge system read to the airlock flushes the occupant's memory by flooding the airlock with amnestic gas for 3 minutes during the exit cycle. An alternate SCP entry must be maintained in the main Foundation database, giving only the technical specifications of the containment unit, provision for senior Antimemetics Division staff to visit the unit's interior on a regular basis, and no description. Description. SCP-3125 is an extremely large, see full, what is that Greek letter?
Which one?
Omega?
I believe it is Omega.
Yes. Dimensional fractal topology at attachment 13. Highly aggressive, anomalous, metastasized meme complex, originating externally to our reality and now partially intersecting it. SCP-3125 is adapted for survival in an eidetic ecology considerably more violent and hostile than our own. Here, our own refers to human headspace, the set of all ideas which humans have or are biologically capable of having. Because humans have no natural exposure to ideas as aggressive as SCP-3125, human minds have no protective evolutionary adaptations against it. Individuals possessed of 3125 become incapable of entertaining weaker conventional ideas, and become instead wholly bodily subordinate to the purpose of serving and disseminating the core concepts of 3125. In addition, although undergoing no outwardly visible physical alteration, they cease to be externally recognizable as human. 3125 is not yet entirely present in our reality. Upon its arrival, the highly interconnected nature of human knowledge exchange systems means that it will take no longer than 12 hours, possibly as few as 4 hours, to encompass, dominate, and replace all human thought. At this point, humanity as an abstract concept, along with all attendant abstracts such as civilization, culture, society, community, and family, will have ceased to exist. The Foundation terms such an eventuality an MK class, end of the world scenario. The Foundation possesses numerous proven techniques for arresting the spread of such aggressive idea complexes, but these are all rendered unworkable in practice by 3125's autonomic defense response and boundary layer. Fully assembling a mental picture of 3125 and perceiving its true shape causes 3125 in turn to be able to perceive the observer. It then attacks the observer, killing them. The mechanism of the attack is unclear, but appears to at least be partially physical. Mental bystanders, individuals whose thoughts and ideas resemble those of the observer, are also attacked. This invariably includes the observer's entire extended research group, and often their close family, parents, and offspring. The attack has the net effect of erasing all knowledge, both of 3125 and its attack, from the world. This informational numbing effect performs a similar function to the anesthetic saliva of a mosquito's bite, enabling 3125 to evade detection prior to its full incarceration. Foundation staff discovering 3125 may be able to escape its attack via prompt use of nestic medication to erase their knowledge of it. In either case, the net result is that the interior of a suitably shielded containment unit is the only location where it is safe to observe, record, or even acknowledge the existence of 3125. Outside of such a containment unit, a true written description of 3125 would constitute a lethal cognitohazard. 3125 could be effectively neutralized using a machine proposed by the late Dr. Bartholomew Hughes called an irregularity amplifier. See schematics, attachment 129. However, as well as requiring tremendous material resources, this machine could not be constructed without its builders understanding why it was being built, which would require an understanding of 3125, which would prove fatal to the project. No means of neutralizing 3125 using only the resources in this room is known. We got to pause here for a little quick ad break, and then we'll come back to continue the history of this SCP entry. Let's see if I was smart enough to program in this button. Shall we find out? We've got about another minute left on the ad break. Oh,
wow.
I can turn the light down now that we've turned on some more ambient light. There. Oh, okay. You still have your wonderful dramatic underlighting, though.
I feel like Joss Ackland in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Right. They're melving to me. Anyway, I love the question that got asked in the chat of I dread to think what kind of idea this thing's what kind of idea are this thing's natural predators?
Yeah.
Right? Is a very good question. Yes, dramatic Alistair is, of course, dramatic. Very much so. Cutie.
By the way, we've just hit one of my favorite things in this entire book. I love 2256.
You do?
22. It's a kilometer tall,
giraffe spider.
mimetically invisible aquatic
giraffe water bug.
spider.
I know, right? Fantastic. All right. 2256 is a fan favorite, right? We need plushies.
We do. Even just a plushie of a leg.
Right, just a plushie of a leg with a round disc foot, right? I want a plushie. All right, let's continue this. So kind of like what I take away from it with like the repeat of the 3125 entry is that we have the version that's in the database.
Yeah.
And now we're reading the version that exists.
Yeah.
In the Vegas room. But more importantly, because this is the third entry in a row for this thing.
Yep.
I think the first entry about, I'm in here and a staff member has to come in and see me. I think that's bait. I think it's trying to change the data, and the 3125 is trying to change the database entry to bait in people to come looking for it. And now we're reading kind of like Kim encountered
the Alistair Gray creature.
Right, which is 3125. Yeah. We're now reading the real entry that exists in 3125. All right, go for it.
History. Due to the described defense mechanism, SCP-3125's observation history is almost entirely missing. In particular, it is unclear exactly how this containment unit came to be built and how these containment procedures were established. Much data has been accrued in this containment unit over the course of successive visits by Foundation researchers. This data was brought from the outside in the hope of being useful and left here in accordance with containment procedures. In addition to this database entry, the reader will find multiple electronic copies of the Foundation database, academic datasets of all kinds, and extensive public news archives. As is to be expected, much of this data is not germane to the topic of containing SCP-3125. Nevertheless, correlation and analysis by successive visitors has allowed the following facts to emerge. 1. Although SCP-3125 is not yet fully present in our reality, its indirect effects, foreshocks, for example, SCP-redacted, 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 and SCP-plus-redacted, are easily discovered by any well-equipped memetics research project. 2.
Wait a minute.
You notice the weird square on the plus sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry folks, but if you look at the text for this particular point, I've never seen an SCP plus before. I don't know what I'm presuming is a redacted number, but interesting. Keep going.
Memetics research is today...
Number 2. Yeah.
Number 2.
Sorry.
It's okay. Memetics research is today a much diminished science from when it was at its peak. In mid-2008, there existed more than 400 institutions pursuing research likely to uncover SCP-3125, including government agencies, military branches, private corporations, independent laboratories, university research projects, and notable amateur groups. Many of these were GOIs or internal divisions within GOIs. None of these groups still exist, except for the Foundation's Antimemetics division. 3. Almost nobody in the world is consciously aware of this decline, and explanations for the disappearance of these groups have not been forthcoming. Simple deduction gives that all of these groups eventually discovered SCP-3125 and were consumed by it, and that this is in fact the inevitable fate of all competent memetics research. The Antimemetics Division's persistence is attributed to its specialist training and its ready access to reliable nestic medication. Despite this, the Division too has shrunk considerably in recent years from a reported staff of well over 4,000 people in 2012 to, as of September 2015, 125. This figure is on track to reach 0 before the end of 2015. Over the same period, the Division's physical worldwide presence has similarly shrunk from a network of sites and smaller outposts on every continent to this single site, Site 41. In particular, the division's headquarters at Site 167 are now missing from the division's collective memory and presumed neutralized by SCP-3125's concealment response.
Do you want me to take this one?
If you wouldn't mind.
Addendum. Further analysis of the available data, specifically architectural diagrams of Site 41, Attachment 38, indicates the existence of a second containment unit on Site 41, conforming to the same basic design philosophy as this one. This second unit, SO41B30000, was built 210 meters below ground level. It features identical broad-spectrum information cladding, but has more than 1,000 times the volume of Cognitohazard Containment Unit 3125, along with an amnestic airlock large enough to ingest a 20-foot equivalent unit shipping container. Information relating to the date of construction and purpose of 041B30000 is absent from Foundation records and is presumed to have been deliberately erased. The unit itself is hermetically sealed and has been for an indeterminate period of time. Regardless of 041B30000's intended purpose, it, like any such containment unit, is capable of acting as a shelter from SCP-3125.
Addendum 2. You want me to do this one?
I'll do it.
You do it.
I think. Right. Addendum 2. And the rest, hopefully, is blindingly obvious. B30000 was originally constructed to house a long-term project to construct Hughes's irreality amplifier. While that's been going on, the rest of us have been fighting an unconscious war in order to buy time. We have been losing, but losing as slowly as humanly possible. The time we've bought is now up. That's an extremely bad sign that nobody inside B300 has broken the seal yet, but there's no ground left for us to cede, and there are no more bodies to throw into 3125's maw to slow it down. What is that Greek letter? Is that mu?
I think so.
I'm not sure. We're going to call it mu. Mu is here, ready or not. I'm going to go to B30 and use the machine. I think I can get the information out through the airlock. I think I can get to the vault alive. It says, I believe it's Va. Okay, Va is here. Fantastic. That's great. This was the plan. It's become garbled in the retelling because of variables, but I know that this was the plan because I know myself. What else could it have been? Standard procedure is that I have to tell you what to do next if this doesn't work. That's the asynchronous research covenant. But I don't have a good picture of who you can even be reading this and alive. If in your scenario there is no machine, Hughes is missing, I'm dead, the site is ruined, and how'd you even get in here? Can you be Foundation? Are you conscious? Is there a single word of this which you comprehend? You live in a world bathed with SCP-3125. That's the lost condition. I can't help someone who doesn't exist. Marion Wheeler, Chief of Antimemetics, November 30th, 2015.
Addendum 3. I found your body. And finding your body was a powerfully disorienting sensation for me, I don't mind admitting. I used to know Marion. During the brief period in which I knew her, she wasn't one to admit defeat as easily as you. Still, that was a long time ago. Far be it from me to tell you your business, but I fear you missed a trick. From the evidence I can see, this was never the only Antimemetics Division site. There were others. I imagine they're now all effectively invisible to most passers-by, of course, just like this one, but I presume that they, just like this one, still physically exist. Your plan, I think, was in place for longer than you know, and since you weren't at liberty to retain its details, you put it into action more than once. There is another vault fitting the description. Truck-sized nestic airlock and all. S167-001-6183. Site-167 is a non-entity, of course, which is most likely why you missed it. It's likely ruined, and it's quite definitely a long goddamned way from here on foot, but still, I think it's better than half a chance. I could die on this boondoggle too, naturally, as the world has become something of a horror show of late. In any case, I trust that anybody following in my footsteps and reading these additional words will have the presence of mind to pursue the same basic strategy. Still existing, despite everything. Adam Wheeler, Interloper, May 4th, 2017.
End of file.
Where have you been all my life?
Who the fuck infiltrates a senior foundation official's home while they're home? Marion Wheeler lives deep in
Coniferous.
Let me start again there. Marion Wheeler lives deep in coniferous forest, a long drive from the nearest major city, and a long drive in the opposite direction from Site 41. It's late. Last thing. And she's reading in bed when she hears the muffled, unmistakable click of her front door being unlocked. She looks up and stares blankly at the wall for a second while listening to soft footsteps moving into the hallway. She marks her place and reaches for her Foundation-issued phone. She has no permanent security staff at home. The division is understaffed and train operatives are in much more serious need on site. But the building and grounds have beefy electronic countermeasures. They, she discovers, have all been disabled, along with the sensors and cameras. She was not notified that this has happened. Whoever did it had a valid code. Who, though? The Foundation has enemies. True, the list of credible, motivated enemies is surprisingly short, and the list of groups stupid enough to try to kill or capture someone at her level is shorter. But it's far from empty, and it's not actually so hard a feat. Not too many people below 05 level are privileged to travel in motorcades. The real trick, the impossible trick, is to avoid unholy retaliation. What if you really think you can? What if you've decided it's worth it? Wheeler triggers the silent alarm. She sets her phone back down on the nightstand and collects her gun. She rolls out of bed, tucks a few pillows in her place, moves silently to her bedroom door, and stands beside it, listening and thinking. This door, her bedroom door, can't be opened silently. It creaks like hell, so if she goes through it, she'll have to be ready to draw attention. There's an attic, but access is out there on the landing, and again, can't be operated silently. There's no alternate route to ground level other than jumping from the window, and someone has to be covering that. Even if she landed in the bushes alive, she'd still have to break the perimeter with a sprained ankle. A better question than who is how many. She may already be straight up dead, simply due to numbers. If the attackers tread cautiously and try to flush her out, she figures she can home alone her way through perhaps 8 of them before running out of luck. If they rush the second floor and have armor, she might be overwhelmed by as few as 2, even with the staircase acting as a choke point. All of this naturally assumes that the attackers aren't anomalous. If they are, and they're not in the, say, 30% of anomalies which can be neutralized simply by shooting them in the center mass or head, she may be fundamentally helpless even after the response team shows up, which will be at best 10 minutes from now. A creaking. This damn house. Someone is coming up the stairs, making no effort to be quiet about it. A soft tread, though, as if they removed their shoes? Just one of them? That barely makes sense. With 5 seconds grace, Wheeler casts around the dark room for a second weapon. She knows there are knitting needles downstairs in the lounge and knives, good ones, in the kitchen. But she can't get to them. It's too late. The door's opening. It seems like the man's trying to say something as he comes in, but he only gets as far as
Whoa!
And it's done. He's flat on his back, cheek pressed into the deep cream carpet, with Wheeler on his back, pinning both his wrists with her knees. She sights urgently back down the stairs for a second. There's no one there. She prods him in his other cheek with the muzzle of the gun. You speak, you die. You try to move, you die. She glances at the window, checks the stairs again, listens intently. There's no sound. There's nothing to be seen. The man is 50 and lanky. He wears an expensive dark suit tailored to his build. He has angular features, thick graying hair, and rimless spectacles, now quite possibly bent out of shape by their sudden impact with the floor. He wears discreet platinum jewelry, a wristwatch, cufflinks, and a ring. The two of them halt like that at tableau. He makes no attempt to move, although he does look askance at Wheeler as best he can given his dislodged glasses. Where are the others?
It's just me, Marion.
Who are you? He says nothing for a moment, but his expression slowly, subtly drops.
Well, it really happened, didn't it? I always wondered.
Who are you?
There is a monster which follows you around and eats your memories. SCP-4987, you drip feed it inconsequential trivia so it doesn't go after anything important. You watch game shows. The book you were reading just now on your nightstand, it's a trivia book, right?
Wheeler says nothing to confirm or deny this, although it's true. At feeding time, the entity manifests like a bright white gold spot in the corner of her eye. It's gone now. She's already putting the rest of it together. It's all mind-bogglingly, insultingly obvious. With a well-suppressed but still detectable note of dismay, she asks, "What's your name?"
Adam Wheeler.
Obviously, she has the man detained. She instructs her people to interrogate him, lightly, and to run deep background research on every word he utters, while for her part, she stands far back from the investigation to avoid contamination. She resists the urge to interfere, particularly to visit Adam and personally demand answers. She goes to her office, curls up on the couch there, and tries to catch some sleep, but doesn't succeed in any real sense. 7 hours later, a foundationer knocks on her office door, bringing an inch-thick block of printouts and a paralyzingly strong cup of coffee. Wheeler takes the drink first, accepting it as a kind of authentication step before letting the man in. She moves back to the couch and sits hunched over the drink for warmth, inhaling its fumes. The man settles heavily into a chair opposite. He's a misleadingly stocky, perpetually unshaven individual, somewhere just shy of 40, and inarguably the most dangerous person on the site. He's the division's physical fitness and combat instructor, and the leader of their solitary mobile task force. His name is Alex Goss.
They figured I should be the one to present their results, even though I didn't research one line of it, because we get along. Their words. Personally, I don't see it.
Wheeler stays focused on the coffee. Who is he? Gauss opens the first page of the report, more for show than anything, then closes it again.
He's your husband. Every word checks out. There is limitless physical evidence. Half of the division knows him socially, including me. I credit your diligence and adherence to protocol, but the bottom line is that SCP-4987 got hungry.
Wheeler nods. This assessment matches her own pieced together overnight from gut reactions and analysis of the plain facts. Where the hell else did her name come from? She wasn't born Wheeler, but she had to get independent verification. Has this happened before?
No.
Could it happen again?
You know better than anyone.
I would. I do, and I can tell you this. I have 4987 trained to follow me at my heel. I feed it according to a strict regimen. It eats only the memories I say it's okay to eat. A rapidly progressive, universally fatal memory parasite made chronic and then domesticated. And now what? It suddenly breaks training? That adds up?
If you say it doesn't add up, it doesn't add up. But speaking from field experience, anything can happen twice.
Wheeler has waited long enough and takes a long pull from the coffee. She stares into the coiling steam as if trying to see the future. But who is he? At this point, you know him better than I do. What's he like? Do you like him? Gauss grimaces extravagantly. This is the great-great-grandmother of all loaded questions. Wheeler looks him in the eye and says, "Tell me your personal assessment of Adam Wheeler. Direct order."
He's nice enough.
Nice enough?
I don't like him, he admits. Personally, all that much. We're civil, but will always be a little bit too smug and a little bit too clever. He's just great, you know? Would I throw someone in a cell for that? No.
Do I like him?
You.
Gauss begins, then stops. He looks away, and over time a soft smile develops on his face, one which Wheeler doesn't recall ever seeing before, not in a working relationship going back years.
Yeah, he's the one.
Full name: Adam Bellamy Wheeler, born February 27th, 1962 in Henge, Derbyshire, United Kingdom, to Rosemary Lee Wheeler, née Wist, and Jonathan Jack Philip Wheeler. No siblings. Early education: Henge Church of England Primary School, Matlock All Saints Secondary School. Demonstrated great musical acuity from an early age. By age 16, had begun to be recognized as one of the most gifted classic violinists of his generation. Attended the Royal College of... Wheeler skips 3 pages. After sustaining a mild injury while on tour in Redacted, he encountered SCP-4051, which had infested a wing of the hospital where he received treatment. SCP-4051 was protected by an unusual form of antimemetic camouflage to which Wheeler, like an estimated 1 in 145,000 individuals worldwide, was and remains immune. His attempt to alert authorities to the infestation's presence was intercepted by a Foundation listening station. Operative Marion A. Hutchinson, then a field agent based in another page, resistant to conventional memory erasure procedures. Hutchinson applied successfully for an exemption, arguing that even with his memories left intact, it would be impossible for Wheeler to share the details of SCP-4051. They subsequently became romantically involved. Oh, they subsequently became romantically involved, did they? Tell me more, you featureless gray sphere of a biographer. I'm hooked now! The biography is countless, contentless beyond this point. Adam Wheeler's life spent touring, playing, lecturing, and occasionally conducting, writing, and composing is documented in exhaustive, pointless detail. He withstands background checks and surveillance, and consistently demonstrates himself to represent zero risk of leak. He eventually receives the extremely low clearance level nominally granted to long-term Foundation external partners of Foundationers. They get married. She takes his name, which she, reading, considers faintly unrealistic. Blah, blah, blah. There's nothing about his personality, nothing about their relationship, no content. She remembers acquiring SCP-4051. There was no one there. She remembers nothing.
Up until the end of the 3rd round of questioning, Adam Wheeler assumes good faith. He figures the repetition is a due diligence tick, a corporate procedural requirement. It's only when they start over from "What's your name?" with a brand new interviewer for the 4th time that he finally gets it. They don't like him, and they don't care what he thinks his name is. They are trying to grind him down until he can't think, until he's just dust particles. They sift for data. He reacts badly to this realization. He asks for his wife, and asks for his wife, and they ignore him. And they ignore him, and she persistently fails to appear, until it becomes a cold form of torture. The questions keep coming, and nothing stops them. Not answering truthfully, not answering, not lying, not rambling off on tangents. They don't stop until he begins falling asleep, in the middle of his own sentences. He wakes up in a standard humanoid containment unit, a stackable 1-bedroom apartment with holographic fake windows, impregnable walls, and extensive discrete modifications for the security and monitoring of anomalous entities. This one is on the 1st basement level, but he can't tell that. The bright, quote, light, unquote, pouring in through the main living area window is authentic enough to tan. He wakes up on the couch with a start, feeling creaky and dehydrated. He realizes that he slept in his suit, and that his suit is creased. He hates that sensation of not looking his best, or at least presentable. That's going to gnaw away at him until he can find, at minimum, a razor and a change of shirt. What woke him was the heavy metallic clack of the door unlocking. He looks up, rubbing his eyes. It's his wife. "Marion! Oh my God!" He leaps up and rushes over to meet her, and she stops him a few paces short, with a gesture and a cold smile. And that hurts. That hurts more than anything. Oh, it's really happened. SCP-4987 has bitten out the part of Marion Wheeler that cared about him. She wasn't absent because of some unrelated K-class outbreak. She just chose to be elsewhere. Indifferent. So he doesn't embrace her. He stands at a polite distance. How are you feeling? Did you sleep?
I'm fine.
I can tell you've had your coffee. Have you eaten? Come on, I'll make you something. The unit has a rudimentary kitchen area. He goes through and starts exploring the cupboards. There must be something edible around here. Eggs and milk, at least. I am ashamed to say I more or less fell asleep where I was standing when they put me here, so I haven't had a chance to scout. Or do you keep the place empty and the food arrives through a slot in the wall, or...
Mr. Wheeler.
Adam shoots her a disappointed look.
Okay. Adam, please come and sit down. You're right. There's nothing in any of those cupboards.
He closes the cupboard and sits opposite her at the kitchen table. Scrambled eggs on granary toast, he suggests, with a lot of garlic in the eggs. That's what we both need right now, particularly you. Because if I don't make something substantial for you, you end up drinking those fucking wretched wallpaper paste milkshakes 7 days a week, or you skip the meal entirely.
Adam, we've been married for 17 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
I don't know you.
That's fine. I doubt that that's going to be a serious problem. You've told me many times about your own people who've lost themselves in the work and had to bootstrap their own personalities a second time. You love watching it. It's like watching butterflies emerge from chrysalites. The best of your people can turn that around in 10 weeks. Imagine how fast that's going to be for you.
No. Her tone is clinical. Matter of fact, I'm afraid it's not possible.
What's not possible?
I can't begin a new relationship right now. Certainly not something as serious as a marriage. You have nominal clearance. You know what I do. I have responsibilities. I do not have time.
This isn't new. This is pre-existing.
No. That relationship is ended now, and we are somewhere else.
Adam stares at her for a long moment, thin-lipped and far from happy. What do you remember?
The question is so open-ended that Wheeler doesn't manage to respond verbally. She spreads her hand slightly, the gesture saying, "What?"
You don't remember me, Adam says. SCP-4987 also clearly ate the part of you which would care if you forgot me. And additionally, the part of you that cares about brunch. What else have you forgotten would be a stupid question to ask. So instead, I'm asking you what's left. I want you to tell me everything you can remember.
Everything I can remember.
Yes, from 1995 to right now.
It's still a farcical question at face value, and Wheeler's first instinct is to dismiss it as such. But she thinks again. She thinks, intending to genuinely try to answer the question. And she finds gaps. There's a dearth of specifics. It's like being asked to say something and immediately forgetting all the words. I remember working and driving home, and then sleep, and then driving back to work. Big, hostile buildings, drug regimens, containment procedures, endless piles of opaque numbers, personal fitness drills, running, calculating, never ever stopping calculating. She remembers with unfair clarity a large variety of extremely bad dreams. And other than that, nothing. A huge, deep, ragged-edged black pit.
You remember nothing good, do you? Nothing good at all. When you come home, on the nights you make it home, you are ready to fold up. It has never been an easy job, but these past few years have been the worst they've ever been, because you are coming to the conclusion of something gigantic. You have explained to me how it is that you can never tell me, really, what it is that you do without the act of you telling me, killing me. And I couldn't stand that at first, and I still hate your job, and I still think it's a monstrous farce, but I trusted you in that, and I stopped asking. But I can tell from the rattle in your hands and the things you don't say and the way that you sleep, there is some kind of war going on back here, and you're losing people to it. And you're almost at the end, and you're going to win. So I scramble your eggs, play the violin, and between us we hack out about 3/10 of what I would consider to be normalcy. Not because you can't do this without me. You could take the whole universe by yourself if you really had to. But fuck that. You don't have to. Didn't happen instantly. Did happen fast. We had music in common at first, Bach and Mendelssohn. We had tobacco, and then a mutual hatred of the X-Files. Then it was coffee and wine, and then after some time it became hiking and birdwatching and Perseid meteors. We like Bruce Lee flicks. We watch Law and Order and Jeopardy. We read stacks and stacks of books. No, in fairness, it's mainly me for the books. You don't have the long-term time to spare anymore. He pinches the bridge of his nose for a second. Any two people can find that much common ground. Just being in the same place for years doesn't count for anything. What do they have? We communicate, he says, better than anybody I've seen. We can be apart for 2 months while I'm on tour or you're overseas and snap right back and pick up a conversation from the word we left off. We are connected. We are in the same headspace. You will see it all. It will happen again just as fast. Just got to give it a chance.
Wheeler is almost there. She sees the shape of what Adam is describing. It's distant and unclear, but if she concentrates, she might be able to bring it into focus. It worries her for nebulous reasons she can't completely articulate, but she can almost understand how there could be room for it, how it could lock into her life as it currently exists and still make sense. But Adam just said something crucial. He said a key word which means the marriage counseling session is over and this is now a situation. Wheeler can't ignore it. She forces herself to drop the other thread and she seizes this one. What war?
And now Adam really doesn't know what's happening. Good God, the war, Marion. I don't know how else to describe it.
What war? How many people?
I don't know. There are names you stop mentioning, and then you ignore me when I bring them up again. I assume there are reasons. I don't know the specifics. How could I know? Why don't you know?
Wheeler races through the reasoning. The existence of a war computes. It confirms long-term existing suspicions. It would have been going on for years without her realizing it. It makes sense to her that she could be fighting it, winning even, and not know, managing her own memories or losing them in skirmishes. This certainly wouldn't be the first time she's uncovered it. It makes sense that Adam, naturally gifted with the mental equivalent of a thick layer of blubber, could stand on the edge of the conflict and dimly be able to perceive it. And the division so understaffed. People are disappearing around here. And what if... She begins and stops dead in the middle of the thought, as if the thought itself was stolen out from under her. And what if we got back together and... She begins again, and this time hard instinct seizes her around the midsection and bodily hauls her back from thinking a thought which it knows would kill her. She's Wile E. Coyote. She's already run off the edge of a precipice into clear air, and thinking that thought would be like looking down. She feels SCP-4987 moving around her, abstractly bound to her, a winking speck of glitter in her eye. Something's wrong.
You see that?
Adam scratches at his own eye. How can you see that?
I have a mild immunity to antimemetic influence. He knows it's in his file. He knows Wheeler has read the file, but apparently it needs to be said again. I can tell when something is fritzing with my memories. I can resist it up to a point. So, Marion, I was hoping to have a nice, relaxed conversation and get around to this topic organically, but I'm going to have to skip to the end. I have the impression that SCP-4987 is trying to kill me.
No, that's not its behavior model. It doesn't sustain itself that way by eating people. It eats memories, and it's never done this. Not to you, not to me, not to anybody, not since the very early days. It's tame. It does exactly what I tell it to do. Even when I'm writing and bored and I let it eat my short-term memory, it sits around and waits to be told to eat.
Then what is it doing to us? Adam is getting nervy and he will not let go of his eye. He stands up and backs away. I would like it if we could figure this out quickly. We don't have a way to put SCP-4987 down.
There's a sound in Wheeler's mind, but not in her ear, like a distant chorus of baying dogs. She stands too and moves after Adam into the middle of the containment unit. It's trying to protect you.
How? How does wiping your memory of me protect me?
I can't explain, and I can't explain why I can't explain. I don't fully understand myself. There's a redacted.
A what?
You can't be here. You can't be in my life. You have to leave or you are going to die.
I'm not leaving you, Adam says. Fucking hell, that's why we did it in the end. Got married. I mean, it was scintillatingly obvious to both of us very early on that we were forever, but I wanted to get it on the public record. I stood up in front of everybody I respect and I swore to them that I would protect you forever.
SCP-4987 is agitated. Wheeler feels it flitting around the room, incoherent, trying to tell her what it needs. She says with sudden...
Actinic.
What is that?
No idea, but it's a lovely word.
Actinic clarity. I must have made an identical promise.
Adam doubles over, blinded in both eyes now. Closing his eyes does nothing. Covering his eyes does nothing. The gold-white light is strobing for him, moving into violet. He panics. Help! Help me! Help me! I can't see! He reaches out unsteadily for Wheeler's hand. She lets him take it and pull her close. The light doesn't fade. He clings to Wheeler for a few minutes, and she holds on to him until he realizes that SCP-4987 is completely within her control. And this is intentional. You're going to do this, Adam says. This is the Foundation mandate. This is what your definition of protect amounts to. You've got no idea of what you're about to do to yourself. You don't even know me.
I think I know.
You will feel sick. You will feel this for the rest of your life. Every day you will wake up with a sick, cold feeling in your stomach where there used to be a real life, and you will wonder why.
I'm going to win this war. I'll beat the universe, and then I will come and figure out why.
Adam holds on to her for another long moment. He can hear the baying now too, and he can even barely perceive what it is far off beyond the hill that SCP-4987 is frantic about. That distant dot, that fleeting second-hand glimpse of the shape of it, far off, is enough to terrify him. He has faith. He knows how fast Marion can put the jigsaw pieces together, work against a universe which makes no sense to her, isolate the truth. He knows she can take the universe, but a sharp misgiving jabs him in the stomach, and he can't stop himself saying, "And what if you lose?"
She kisses him. It's a stranger's kiss. There's nothing there Adam recognizes. He breaks off, unsettled, in a whisper now.
What if you lose? Wheeler exits the containment unit.
She slams the deadlocks the door with a single movement. The heavy metallic crack makes the whole building shake. There are people outside. Goss, Julie Still, and a few others comparing notes. They look appalled. Feeling his backstory. He was never married. Relocate him to where I'll never find him. Incinerate all the evidence, then report to me for surgical memory erasure. I'll do myself last. Goss looks as if he has an objection, and she stares him down. My husband's dead. And that's where we'll leave it.